Right, since it's going to be the last one in this session, I guess we always say save the best for last, right? And I love the 11:30 a.m. session because this is the only time that just right before lunch, everyone is it's just ready for lunch and keeping up is at the best energy. So I think this is a very interesting session because I think all of us is in the Web3 community that it has always been dabbling around. And I guess it's today, allow me to take you a journey of having all these future hats amongst these speakers over here and to crystallize this crystal ball, whether of the cross chains of Web3, the futures of Dapp. So allow me to first introduce Xin Chao and Chao Bun Xiang. How's everyone doing? Come on, guys. I believe Saigon deserve a better energy. Come on, guys. Good morning, Saigon. How's everyone doing? All right, yeah. So I'll be moderating the session. My name is Arthur Tan, originally from Malaysia. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of MetaPack Group. And indeed, today we're talking about the cross-chain of Web3, the futures of Dapp. And that's just to ensure that everyone understands, everyone in this room understands the context of cross-chain. Imagine every day that you'll be sending out your emails, your daily emails from a different email server to another email server. So for instance, if you are holding a Gmail account and you're unable to send out to Yahoo, imagine the struggles and the challenges that you're going to face. Now, cross-chain is a technology that enhances the interconnection between all the blockchain network that allows the exchange of data, information, and value. Now, dApps, of course, as the name suggests, decentralized. It's very similar to like how your apps are on your phone. But of course, the only difference is it uses a blockchain and also smart contracts on the front end code. And also the back end code using a decentralized as a peer-to-peer network. So it's as simple as that everyone in this room understands that the context of dApps and cross-chain. So let's just dive in even deeper to really go deeper as understanding this topic about it. So I guess first and foremost, I think I have this incredible, intelligent panelist right with me. And we'll see. I hope there won't be an intense debate. So we're all friends over here. So let's just get the ball rolling then. So with me is right on the, as you can see, that's a big screen. With me is Samrat Kishore, Neil, and also Pumpkin Dawn as well. So just very quick one, could you just guys just quickly introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Don Fan. I'm the Business Development Manager for Amazon Web Services. Web3 is becoming the fastest growing part of our business, and we're increasingly powering Web3. When we're talking about cross-chain startups, this is something that we're seeing a lot of, and we'll get into a deeper discussion about multi-chain versus cross-chain. And I think this is kind of the cutting edge of where we are at Web3.
Hey guys, thank you very much for the thunderous opening to the session. I'm Samrat Kishore. I'm the regional head for Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. It's an alliance which is run by Consensus, Joe Levine, etc. So it's for the enterprise adoption of Ethereum. And there's also a community project which is called Baseline Protocol, and I'm currently the co-chair of technical steering committee there. There are various other community projects also which the EEA supports, and I would be happy to chat with everyone while we're here. Thanks.
Thanks, Samrat. My name is Neelkant. I lead the Asia Pacific operations for Unstoppable. My area of expertise is digital identity. So hopefully I can add some value today.
So just to make sure that we are all on the same page. So to really just get it starting. So do you all agree that the cross-chain is the future of Dapp? If so, why? If you disagree, why?
Well, since I have the mic, I'm going to get started by saying that it's definitely the present. we're seeing a lot of adoption, and a lot of apps really took off because of cross-chain interoperability. That was something which was naturally, causing the uptake of those apps. So I think that was really, really key in a lot of traction which came, early traction, and eventually venture money as well for a lot of apps which we are seeing currently. Future, I would say, it comes with a caveat. It comes, we have to take it with a pinch of salt. It has to be secure, and Vitalik also in the past has said points against it, and I'm sure all of us will agree to that. That while multi-chain seems to be the right way to go, cross-chain is something which always has its own challenges. So in fact, EEA also came up with a security standard for cross-chain transactions, because that your assets are very vulnerable while they are being exchanged across chains. So I'm just going to say that, yeah, from my perspective, I would say it's definitely the present. It's going to provide what it needs. Let's say cross-chain liquidity, etc. For example, interop. You can send your NFTs. For example, gaming. It's causing the boom these days. So it's definitely serving the purpose for now, but it needs to maybe taken up a little for mainstream adoption, or to be called as the future.
Yeah, so cross-chain is the present and the near future, but it brings up some pretty interesting questions in terms of security. With a lot of these cross-chain solutions, you're increasing vulnerabilities and the surface area of attacks. So many of you have probably heard of this famous hacker named Avi Eisenberg. He hacked a Filipino marketplace called Mango Markets recently, and this last week he tried to hack Aave unsuccessfully. Vitalik, Samrat mentioned a Vitalik essay from earlier this year. Vitalik Buterin has written about multi-chain versus cross-chain and the vulnerabilities in cross-chain technology. He gives an example of, let's say you have 100 ETH and you transfer 100 ETH to Solana, and then you have wrapped ETH, but then there's a 51% attack on Ethereum. So at that point, there's a major vulnerability. And this is the kind of vulnerability that you should expect in cross-chain solutions. And so Vitalik, his vision of the future is going to be a multi-chain solution. And if there's anyone from Polkadot or Cosmos here, your input would probably be the most valuable, because that's exactly the kind of problem that these layer 0 solutions are trying to solve.
Yeah, I think all of this is fine, but the most fundamental thing is, can I have an identity which I control, which governments don't control or anybody else doesn't control, right? And can I use that identity to log into any kind of Dapp, to any kind of system, metaverse? Can I have the same identity? The biggest problem in today's world is your reputation is something you can't take from one platform to the other. So you may have Samrat may have 100,000 followers on Twitter, but that's not something that you can monetize, right? So if there is a way to kind of create your identity which can work across different systems, which you control, I think the problem is solved.
Now, Don, you mentioned about the cross-chain and multi-chain as well. And of course, there's a lot of understandings of the differences between both of this chain. Don, I would like to pluck your brain juices, particularly on this subject, because there are different experts and really different people suggesting on that, and the vulnerabilities and the struggles as well between this chain. Could you probably further elaborate as to how do you really envision first the differences between the cross-chain and the multi-chain, and really what will be the challenges with the development as it goes by?
So Samrat mentioned that there's been a lot of VC activity in cross-chain startups, cross-chain solutions. When I'm thinking about the multi-chain solution, I'm thinking probably an open protocol that does not look like a private company. That's probably the best decentralized solution and likely the safest. But the people that would be developing this would be doing this out of the kindness of their hearts, or to advance technology here. So it's really hard to predict when a solution like that comes out.
Neil and Samrat, if there's a crystal ball right in front of you right now, how exactly are you going to envision a cross-chain Dapp to be like? How will you describe your most ideal cross-chain Dapp to be like?
Sure. So let me take that one first. I think the ideal. So the standards are being created as we speak. I don't think anybody has a clear view of, or at least I'm yet to see a clear view of a future standard which will be absolutely ideal for calling it a multi-chain future or cross-chain future. But I'm yet to see, let's say, a good balance between permissionlessness, security, privacy. Privacy. When I say privacy, it's on-chain privacy. So if somebody is able to solve that triad, I think that's something which is yet to be seen. So it's as of now, there are security standards which are out there, which which cross-chain operators or bridges can comply to and become the best as of now. Um, the other side is also on the business side. Imagine if you were not able to take advantage of the liquidity pools, across chains. What would that entail? Because the number of users currently, if we were to, reality be told, the number of users or the adopters of DeFi are very few in the world, right? And they're the same actors who are now using multiple dApps across chains, etc. So the liquidity there's gonna be a crunch, I believe, if the chains are removed, if the bridges are removed from the equation. So yeah, I think I would say, from my perspective, the ideal future for a cross chain would be, absolutely secure, private, interchangeable chain, which is helping people preserve their online privacy as well, on chain privacy as well. Yeah, how about you?
Yeah. So, how much do you think all of us are worth? Facebook, Google, they make about $100 billion, right? So we have 7 billion people. So each person has an identity, and each person has a net worth which we don't realize, right? Because we are the product. So people analyze our data, decide where to send us for food, to meet other people. The point is, each individual has an identity, and there is a worth to that identity. It's just that we don't know, because we are so much into the Facebook, the Google, and all these kind of worlds. So the point is, if you have an identity which can take your reputation across different dApps, then there is value to it. So, and if you can monetize it, so.
Neil, I couldn't really agree more. And this is the kind of conversation that I always have with the Web3 people. And here we are every day on our phones, and we're just feeding so much information. We're feeding so much as insights to like Instagram, to TikTok, and without them realizing that their private information that has been exposed. And each and every information and every time on second is that we actually on the phone using these apps, we're just adding the values of all this apps as itself. And that's hence why we are here today. And probably you guys are being here today because to truly really immersing ourselves into the powers of decentralization, to give back the powers to people like this. But of course, I mean, as Samrat, I think I also have to conclude that as much as we realize this, it's also important that it all goes back towards the case study, the metrics, and it's not even vanity metrics that we're talking about. What are the number of users? What is going to be the growth? What's the revenue and all that? So, yeah, it's there. Do you guys agree with me in that way?
No, absolutely, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And I think, and actually, Ron would also know a lot, because they're seeing a lot of growth, especially in these markets, right? And especially in the region where we are currently. That the users are, they came in the past couple of years, and the good part is a lot of them have stayed in. We are in November of 2022, not probably not the best month, or 2020 has not been the best year for the crypto world, but I'm glad that a lot of people are building. We saw a lot of builders in ETH Vietnam as well. I'm really excited to meet a lot of you. So it see the good thing is, how I see it is, the market is falling. A lot of big currencies have lost a lot of their market value, but in the Web3 world, the prices of cryptocurrencies are like the leading indicator of innovation, right? You see prices increasing, and a lot of developers will just flock there, and then prices falling, and the people will start leaving, etc. But I still see a lot of people are stuck around, and a lot of users are getting on board into new apps. So that simply means that people have sort of crossed that bridge over of that trust has built up on this ecosystem, where they're not worried about the prices of cryptocurrencies anymore. They're more inclined towards utilizing the value which is coming out of it, right? In terms of, let's say, DeFi protocols, or the kind of GameFi protocols, or CarbonFi things, the stuff that we are seeing here. So it's amazing to see, the kind of users which are coming in and staying in the Web3 ecosystem.
Actually, as we were speaking about Web3, I just realized as well there's really one very important person that's sitting right beside me. Of course, from Amazon Web Services. And of course, Amazon is moving into the Web3, but of course, very strong in the Web2 as well. Do you have any other narrative from what I just said just now? Because I guess hopefully that really didn't come too offensive for your organization. Because I think this is the only panel discussions that really has a combination of like Web2 and also Web3 companies as well. But Dawn, do you have any narrative to really add on from what we were discussing about this now?
Well, so there was discussion earlier. Neil was talking about ownership in Web 2 and how companies like Facebook and Google are able to monetize your identity. And this is kind of the big promise of Web 3 and a big value of the tokens. So just to kind of elaborate what Neil was talking about here, there's this narrative now that tokens are supposed to be really scammy, and if someone offers you a token, don't take it. But the vision that Chris Dixon from Andreessen Horowitz talks about is that if you're an early adopter in a project, you're building so much value. If you were one of the early users for YouTube that was posting cat videos, and then YouTube became this billion-dollar business, shouldn't you have gotten some ownership stake there too? So something that I would push back on right now is that tokens are all scams. A lot of them may be scams. A lot of them just may be failed startups. I was a failed startup founder before. I wasn't trying to do a scam. I just wasn't successful. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of these token backed founders. So, if we can use events like this for ETH Vietnam to legitimize tokens, because I think they're a major innovation, because it's so hard for founders in countries like Vietnam to raise money. ICOs, IDOs have brought so much liquidity into the ecosystem, and that's been incredibly valuable.
So I think the next question that I'm going to post up, I think something that's very relevant to everyone in this hall. Of course, this year, 2022, has been one of the most challenging years in the entire Web3 space since its birth. Exactly how many years ago? 14 years ago? 14 years ago? Yeah. And of course, without mentioning names, we all do know that with 3 major companies collapsed this winter year itself. And in addition, a total of 2.3 billion of assets have been hacked from projects day to date, and which results 70 to 80% drop in most of the token value if we take a look at the top 100 tokens in the exchange. Now, gentlemen, what really does this mean of the cross-chain Dapp developments from here?
See, I think we should not be too worried about the short-term things. There will be ups and downs. There is a study by Pew Research which says that countries which adopt digital identities, their developing countries, their GDP will grow by 6%. And developed countries, the GDP will grow by 3%. So at the end of the day, Web3 is there for the future, right? There will be tokens, there will be projects, there will be companies which will go and come. But at the end of the day, Web3, digital identity, all these things are very, very critical for the growth of most economies. That's my belief.
Yeah. So just to add to that, so And great facts that you presented, others. I think bad actors have played a big role in shaping up this industry. And bad actors from both sides. There are people who try to do unscrupulous things, and there are people who try to hack from the outside. And you gave a great example of Avid. Some hacks are failed. Some hacks result in the biggest hacks, and they are like in the news. And I think all of us at some level, people who are in this room would have had chances to explain to their friends, family, co-workers that when there's a hack, it's not Ethereum which is hacked, it's not Bitcoin which is hacked, it's probably an exchange which got down, it's probably a bridge which got down. So I think that whole curve, which is we are now past that, and a lot of learnings have come out of those incidents. So I would say, I mean, it's not good because people are losing money. A lot of people have lost a lot of money. I recently came across somebody which is like a 10-year-old company, and they had about 70% of their net worth on one of the recent. They lost one of their. They lost 70% of the net worth on one of the recent takedowns, if we could call it. I would, again, not taking names, but those are the. I think we are now past all of that, and we keep learning and growing, and there are standards which are coming. I think the important thing now, which I'm seeing, is as part of EEA, we are creating a lot of standards, and there's a ton of, and we are not creating on our own. It's a whole community effort. Tons of companies have come together, and they are contributing to these standards. It's as good as looking 10 years back and saying, when the cloud was a new thing, when cloud was new, then the big fours of the cloud came together, and they say, you know what, we are going to create a cloud security alliance, and we're going to create standards for security. If no government, no regulator is creating it for us, because they may not understand it at the moment, let's create it for ourselves and become self-regulatory, right? That's what they did. So I see similar things happening now. So it will eventually lead to a safer Web3 for all of us. That's what I believe.
So I want to add one point, right? Actually, you made a very good point. It's all about, again, centralization. So things that are failing are not truly decentralized. That's where the problem is. So
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks, Neil, for adding on that. And that's exactly why we're here talking about this topic. Don, do you have anything else to add?
So a lot of the price declines are in centralized exchanges, and so this capital is flowing to decentralized exchanges and cold wallets. Ledger is hitting record numbers here. So this narrative that crypto is dying quickly because FTX and a few other exchanges are doing badly seems to be way off. And if you thought of this as a buying opportunity, if there are any Bitcoin maxis in the audience, if you're seeing this news and you're thinking that this is a buying opportunity, the price of Bitcoin has not dropped that much. So that should tell you something, that that crypto is very resilient here, and the parts that are the most decentralized are the parts that are the strongest.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to shift gear a little bit. So we all know that it's not going to be a bed of roses right over here when it comes to development, right? And probably maybe, I mean, if Vietnam focuses so much as about hackathon, build-a-thon, and all that. So let's just really go into some of the challenges right now. The cross-chain protocol enables us interoperability between unrelated blockchain ecosystem. Now, similarly, I'm just really keeping it simple so everyone able to understand. Now, imagine this as it's like an acting bridge. So probably maybe so you guys can walk me through it. Now, I would really like to plug your brain juice and thoughts on what could really possibly go wrong with this blockchain bridge, and what are the vulnerabilities like when it comes to development. Maybe just for the for the builders here, and also for the coders here as well. Don, you want to start first?
So I mentioned earlier this Vitalik essay where he talks about transferring 100 ETH to the Solana ecosystem, where you'd have wrapped Ethereum, and then there's a 51% attack on Ethereum. The thing Vitalik states is that then the peg between the two ecosystems would be lost, and then you would probably have financial contagion, and that's just two ecosystems. If you do it on additional ecosystems like 3, 4, 5, then contagion would spread. This is ironic because the reason we're doing cross-chain is to provide liquidity across ecosystems. And probably the best case right now is AnyCall. AnyCall is a cross-chain protocol that has helped Curve. So if any of you have used the DeFi protocol curve, this is like a good scenario. The bad scenario is the system gets hacked and your ecosystem market collapses like 80% overnight, and this spreads to 5 other ecosystems. So that's the risk, and that's why you should all be thinking about security from the very beginning.
Guys, as we only have 5 more minutes for this session, oh man, it's like really, time flies as I went. I'm really having a great time on the stage right over here. Can we have additional 15 more minutes since this is the last session? Just kidding. Anyway, guys, let's just get the ball rolling. I mean, what about passing the ball to the audience as well? Does any one of you have any questions in relation to this topic? Okay. Anybody? All right, yeah. We can hear you then.
The security doesn't increase much after like 4 months of developing and bug fixing, and it doesn't like good for the budgets of what the project are doing. Instead of that, instead of focusing on cybersecurity, most of the projects just like hiring more people to make the problems like play away by including more features, making more UI UX, and they don't like focus much on cybersecurity. So like the hacking problem is just like increased by the time, because like when I researched about many projects in the past, like 90% of them doesn't even care about cybersecurity. Oh, it's get hacked. It's get hacked. So that's the problem that I have found about the community of the blockchain developers. They don't care much about cybersecurity at all. So do we have to have some sort of way to like educating them about cybersecurity?
So if I'm going to simplify his questions, Crosschain has been really rather expensive, and people don't really quite pay attention on the security. And of course, there's so much about cybersecurity right now, and which everyone has pinpointing each other parties on cybersecurity, easily to be hacked. So what are your thoughts on this, guys?
Let me kick this off. So yes, it is expensive to do bridges which are really secure, and there's nothing which is hack proof. I would not say that you can get to 100%, but it takes a lot of engineering effort, and the talent which can do that is very scarce. So it is expensive to get those people to do the things that we wanted them to do, right? The other thing is, as you said, you need education as well, and I think it should become part of blockchain education. By the way, EA is also creating a education standard, so it has got auditing as part of the curriculum, etc. So pick up the standards which are out there. There is Crosschain interoperability group as well. So there's a whole working group where you could seek guidance from the biggest of the players in the industry. Auditors play a key role. When you're launching a new product, auditors play a key role. But then, just like any other business, there are tons of auditors out there. There are tons of their quality standards are very different. So I think standards are the way to go. So try and comply to a standard which suits your purpose, and keep evolving. I think that's also extremely important. Keep evolving as you identify new risks to your product or application.
So, see, one way these problems can be solved, like for example, if I have a Samrat.wallet or Samrat.nft, I don't need to ask Samrat what's his address to send money. It's crypto today, but it could be central, backchain, currency in any other country. The point is, I mean, some part of this is available, at least in India. You have a UPI which helps you send money, but the problem is still you don't have an identity. So everything that you send is visible to the other person. Everybody uses your data to kind of mine you and sell things to you. The point is, some of the problems that you were asking, if I have an identity which, does not connect to my email, the normal email, my email is private, my identity is private, I think I can achieve a lot of things. So.
The only thing I would add here is that if you are doing a bridge and you're worried about security, a very practical way of getting around, of getting help here is maybe to have like white hat bonuses or rewards so people can spot your vulnerabilities here. And the other thing too is to be a little bit more sympathetic to that for the hackers who are finding these vulnerabilities and making a lot of money off of them. A big idea in Web3 is decentralization and deregulation, and that code is law. So if you're going to be in this industry, you should take that very seriously.
Yeah, just to add one last point, which is don't go for band-aid solutions. And the band-aids rip off, they really cause some pain.
Last but not least, guys, give us your best, short, concise advice to all of the cross-chain dApps developers out there. What would it be?
Think about how you would hack your own protocol.
Very well said. Neil, yourself?
No, I think just keep building. I think it's very important to believe. See, there will be bad times in life. You may not have investors. You may not have VCs lining up. But I think it's very important to believe what you're building, helps the community. I think if you believe in community, if you believe that what you're building has some value, I don't think you need to worry about anything.
Great points, guys. So yeah, I think just to add on to that, keep your end users in mind. Keep building. I'm a big proponent of security, so keep security as part of your architecture right from the beginning. And yeah, I think best part is, this is how I see it. This is a David versus Goliath, story. Web3 is solving it. You don't have to be a large company and have large data centers to build the biggest app anymore. You can deploy your app into the blockchains and just be the sole person running that whole company, which has got 1 million users. So just keep your confidence up. The money will just flow in, and the best kind of money is customer money. When you start making revenue. So yeah, just keep your spirits up in the current market and keep building. Thank you.
Very well said. You just got to bear with it. It's the next 12, 18 months. Just 12, 18 months. That's it. That's all we need.
Just stay alive,
Just to stay alive, that's right, in the market before the next bull run. Once again, thank you so much, Sam, Neil, and Don. And once again, to everyone in this ballroom over here, massive thank you for the undivided attention, for the undivided time that you have shared with this. This wraps up the cross-chain as a Web3, the future of dApps, and we do hope that this session has given you some inkling, some takeaways of building up dApp and just to really stay alive for the next 12, 18 months before we enjoy the next boom. Once again, a massive thanks to Suchi Blockchain Hub for really organizing this wonderful session, this spectacular inaugural event. With that being said, thank you so much, guys, and let's just continue building and continue hustling.